Make sure to subscribe to Ben on YouTube so you can stay up to date on everything humble.
What's going on, everybody? What's going on? Welcome back. Today I'm in a good mood. It's your boy, Ben Humble here, and I'm live on the Daily Data and Drama Show. And we've got an amazing show for you guys today, so thank you so much for tuning in. And before we get on to it, we're talking about frugality today. We're talking about how do you really position yourself for success? And right now has been a critical time to really understand these topics. And I brought on a really special guest, a friend of mine who understands this stuff very well intrinsically. By the way, if you guys are interested in real estate investing and you are in Canada, I wrote a book here called Real Estate Secrets Exposed. Learn how to actually make money virtually, which is cool, from the comfort of your home. Yes, it is possible if you understand the value and how to do wholesaling. And if you don't know anything about wholesaling, you need to grab this book. It's absolutely free. There's no page numbers. There's nothing else in there. It's just ready to go, though. Humble.ceo to grab your free copy. Yo, so today, Hans, man, we're talking about ultra frugality. We got some war stories, man, because this is a topic I love. I was and still am a secret frugality junkie. And my guest today is I think he's the ultimate frugality expert.
So you're a frugalist?
I am the most frugalist that you could possibly find. I'm inventing words on the Daily Humble Show. They're probably gonna end up on Wikipedia at one point in the future.
Urban Dictionary.
That's right.
Put it up there.
Okay, you got it. So my guest today is Mr. Frugality. Mr. Mike Rosehart is my dude. I like Mike. He retired the game. He's known as Canada's youngest retiree at the age of, I think it's 24. He gets out of the rat race. And, he's got a really interesting story. So, he's been able to kind of save his way to financial wealth. He's part of the F.I.R.E movement, which is interesting. Financial independence, retire early. And this guy really understands it. Not to mention, he's just a cool dude. He's a great father. And he's building a business. Even though now he's exited the rat race, he's doing things on his own terms. And it's cool to have him here. So let's bring him on. Without further ado, let's bring on my man, Mr. Mike Rosehart. Welcome to the show, my man.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Look at that applause, man. People are going wild for you. Look at that. I think it's that new haircut. Oh, you can't hear them? Well, welcome, man. I'm so happy to have you here, Mike. So let's jump right into it, man, because you've got a really, really interesting story. And I think that today's show is very valuable for a lot of folks at home. We've got a lot of people that watch the show that, are not financially independent, or they're pursuing that. And they're trying to do that through real estate. They're trying to do that through other means, through other activities. What was it in you, man? Let me know, what was it in you that got you into the whole frugality mindset? Where does that come from for you, my brother?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up with not a lot, right? So I think a lot of us who are frugal in the F.I.R.E movement, a lot of us just kind of stumbled on it naturally or organically. We were just efficient with our resources. And if you don't grow up with a lot, I think frugality is rooted in this idea that you have to be really efficient with your resources, right? And so one of your main resources is time. Another one is money, right? And so you have to be, if you don't have a lot of money, you got to be conscientious about how you spend that, right? So that's where frugality came from for me, was just growing up a single mom. Me and my brother just trying to, help my mom out, and us just trying to get by, right? Paycheck to paycheck, just living that life of basically scarcity mindset, right? Totally. And, at 17, I found the movement when I was in my dorm room at Western University. And I guess I was already sort of frugal to begin with. So things aligned pretty well. And I thought, well, geez, this is a pretty good movement. I like the fact that, you got to spend a very little money. You got to try and find ways to earn more. And then you invest that and you live off the passive income. I'm on board with that. I'm already frugal. Let's turn it up a notch. Let's see how frugal I can get. Let's see how much money I can earn. Let's save the difference.
So you went from frugality to ultimate frugality through the F.I.R.E movement, but help people understand real quick, what is F.I.R.E, Financial Independence, Retire Early? Give us a quick rundown of what this movement is.
Yeah, so the Financial Independence, Retire Early movement is really just people are getting fed up with this idea that you have to work your whole life and then you retire at 70, right? For a few years and then you die. So that there's more to life than this.
That's amazing, by the way, when you put it that way.
Right? Working for someone else in a job you don't like for 40, 45 years, right? And having no control over your financial future. F.I.R.E is about taking control of your financial future by first controlling the thing that you can control the easiest, which is what you spend. It's very hard to go into your boss and say, hey, pay me double right now. Over time, you can build the high income skills. You can build that income up. The F.I.R.E movement's about that. But I think the core tenet of F.I.R.E is that whatever you make now, try to make more, but whatever you make now, find a way to live on half of that or less. And so that's if you want to really be hardcore about F.I.R.E, you got to live on half your income or less, which might seem extreme. It's actually not that bad if you break down, how you're spending your money. What you'll find is that most people spend it sort of frivolously or on things that they don't need to spend it on. And so if you really pare back to the essentials and find ways to get your housing under control, find ways to get your transportation under control and your food budget, your eating out budget under control, all of a sudden you'll find you'll have tons of extra money to start saving and investing. And then once you invest, the idea is that if you save 25 years of living expenses, then you can withdraw basically 4% from your portfolio, called the 4% safe withdrawal rate. Basically, the data suggests, if you're looking at data, that you will not deplete the principal of your portfolio for the rest of your life if you can get 25 years of living expenses set aside. So whatever you spend a month, multiply that by 12, multiply that by 25, boom, that's how much you need. That's your FIRE number. So if you're living on $2,000 a month right now, you need like $600,000 or $625,000 to retire. If you want to live on 40, 50 grand a year, you need a little over $1 million in that FIRE number. And there's different spectrums of FIRE. Like there are people who are doing the FIRE lifestyle who make 200 grand a year and they spend 100 grand a year, but they're still adherent to the FIRE movement because they're saving more than 50% of what they're earning. So
I love that. I love that. So you unpack two things right there real quick. So living on half of what you make. This is more of a mindset, I think, than a problem, because a lot of folks are stuck in the whole like, well, I can't live on half of what I make. But the truth is you probably didn't try, right? Like, let's be honest. We have so much abundance here in Canada that we really could live on less. And Mike, for me, I was doing this frugality thing before it was even called FIRE. For me, it was common sense. So my wife and I, we get married. We're 23 years old, and we just decided to live on half a paycheck. So half a paycheck we put aside, the other half we decided to live on. Well, that meant that when we reverse engineered the process, we lived in a duplex. We made most of the food at home. We had older cars. In fact, one of my first vehicles was a 94 Dodge van Caravan. It was a sexily dark blue, very, very nice. For those of you that like those old Dodge Caravans. And I had a bungee cord keeping the door closed. Like, that's just what I had to do. True story. Until the fact that one day I actually went missing and I found out it was actually stolen. Somebody who was drunk decided that it was cheaper to steal my van than to get a taxi. But that's a true. But saving half your income, Mike, is absolutely doable. What about the skeptics, man, who like, dude, I can't do that. I can't live on half my income. What would you say to that, Mike?
I mean, there's skeptics to everything. No one thinks anything is possible, even when they see it done by 10, 100, 1,000, tens of thousands of people. Everyone's jumping on the FIRE movement. I'm seeing so many people do it. People who went from living paycheck to paycheck are making changes. I follow them on my YouTube channel. They follow every video. I've watched a lot of them transform and change their budgets and change their mentality. I think, a lot of the skeptics have, bad mindset when it comes around just how to optimize around spending, earning more money, all that kind of stuff, right? So what I would say is to the skeptics is I challenge you to dig into and see what's possible. If you actually looked at your budget and saw where you were spending, you'll find that there are opportunities to cut your spending way, way down, right? There are opportunities for you to probably earn more money too if you were more efficient with your time or your money. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. And I think that a lot of us think that it's not possible I get people falling even on minimum wage here in Canada. They make Ontario, I guess, is $14 an hour, and people are literally saving $1,000 a month on minimum wage, working full time at Tim Hortons, at McDonald's, right? So if you're at the bottom of the income spectrum, you don't have those high income skills yet, and you haven't developed that, but you still have the opportunity to participate in FIRE. You can find ways to get a duplex situation, or get a roommate, or maybe you live close to work and you bike and you walk. Boom, there's how you scraped away that $1,000 to start saving. And once you start saving, it's like pushing a snowball down a mountain. And once it starts rolling, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And all of a sudden, the magic of compound interest makes it so that you have a little FIRE nest egg, and it gets easier as you go down the hill. So that's the beautiful thing about it, is every time you make conscious decisions to basically not consume, right, and to save for the future, you get further and further ahead. And so you get to a point where it sort of, you don't have to work anymore because the passive income is larger than
it's in your
what
favor.
you're spending.
So let's put this in perspective for folks, Mike, because I think if we reverse engineer real quick, we can get people to understand the value here of what we're talking about. Listen, folks, you kind of have two options is the way that I see it. You can either, like Dave Ramsey says, live like no one else today so you can live like no one else tomorrow. You can either make a conscious decision now to invest, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 5, or 10 years into a frugality approach, by which then you can build up enough of a nest egg where the laws of compound interest, the laws of time can actually start growing that income over time, where it takes less and less, like Mike was saying, to push that snowball. That's number one, to make a conscious decision. Number two, Mike, I think we can both agree, we save so much time being frugal in a way because we spend a lot of time consuming, right? Hyperconsumption is a crazy thing. Like, how much time do you spend shopping for that new laptop and that new thing and that new thing? Like, instead of spending time on developing a skill set or developing a business. The way that I did it, Mike, and I want to get your take on it, was I was frugal so that I could literally save my energy and save my cash. And then I focused everything I had on just building skills and building little businesses. And as a result of building those businesses, they started doing better and progressing. I started getting income, and income became my primary focus at some point. Not so much the expenses, but I had to learn how to get my expenses in check. I had to develop a discipline around expenses. Otherwise, it is the fastest way to get rid of your income. It doesn't matter how much money you make 200 grand a year. If you don't know how to take care of it, the problem is you're not going to keep any of it. So Mike, would you agree, man, if they're willing to be really frugal for, let's say, a few years, they can really set themselves up for the entire life? Would you agree with that sentiment?
Oh yeah. I did a video about a year ago on my YouTube channel documenting $1 into $67. At 19 years of age, you made a pact with yourself to save $1. That dollar is like $67 at like 9 or 10% compounded until you're like late retirement, 67. So if you can save $100,000 when you're 20 years old or when you're young, and even if you're older, it's fine because compound interest still works for you. Yeah. It'll multiply itself so many times. You save $1 million when you're like my age, it's like tens of millions without doing anything later on. So one thing I want to challenge too with the skeptics, I didn't get in the first round.
Come on, man, challenge it. Drop some stuff. I want
to challenge something. So I've never met any self-made millionaire who didn't practice the principles of F.I.R.E. Not a single one. Even Uncle G, Grant Cardone saying, hey, I don't care about the pennies, I don't care about the dollars. He's not watching his spending at all, right? He's talking about just growing that top line. But even he is saving. You don't build wealth unless you save. The equation is literally what you make minus what you spend equals what's left over, which equals your net worth. Each and every year that adds up. If you're spending all of what you're making, you have no money. People are saying, hey, man, I can't do 50% savings rate. Forget saving, forget frugality. But here's the honest truth. There are no millionaires who didn't save a percentage of their income. You have to save to build wealth. So for people who say like, forget frugality, every entrepreneur I know
dissect this for me, man, because I think this is where people get confused. Because I agree with you, but I want to clarify one main point here. By saving, I don't think you mean literally taking money and putting it into a savings account. What I mean is taking any surplus income that's available, putting it aside, and then most business owners, the smart ones that I know, are investing back in their business, back in themselves, their personal development, relationship. They're investing the capital. So if I've got $10 coming in, I live on 6, I invest the 4. I don't necessarily put the 4 in a checking account. So can you clarify? Give me that distinction, man, because that's how I think about saving. I think about, okay, I'm going to put together what I need. Boom. I'm putting the rest of it to work. I want my money working for me. What do you think? Is that what you mean, dude? Or do I get that wrong?
No, you're 100% right. At the end of the day, saving is basically building your net worth, right? So anything that goes towards building your net worth. So if that means, investing in stocks, investing in real estate, investing in
I think we might have lost him.
Come on, Mike. You save it on the internet. Mike. Hold on. Mike, we got a freeze here. Question from the comments. Tempest saying, hey, what's the best way to keep learning about, financial literacy? So a couple things you could do here, Tempest. Is that your real name? Maybe. I don't know. Could be. A couple of things. Number one, get around the right people is probably the first thing you could do. Is start really hanging out with folks or following people on social media that are frugality mindset. Now, by frugality, folks, I want to reiterate something. It's not about scarcity driven. It's not about, I'm living on rice and beans just because. I'm living on rice and beans because it gets me to a point where it's a means to an end. See, the truth is once you can develop the frugality mindset and you can start learning how to manage money, which is really what this principle is about. It's about creating a discipline around money so that when you create enough discipline, then you can be entrusted with more and more money. And as you build up that discipline, you become a steward of capital. What happens is that you can now increase your ability to earn. That's the big component here, folks, because I saved money and I put money aside for years, right? So for 3 to 4 years, lived in a duplex, drove an old car, did all that stuff. And the truth is, once that happened, I was able then to have a responsibility factor with money. Now I could park it in things. So I could, buy stocks, buy real estate. I can get real estate education. I can get additional education. So if you're brand new to the game, I would go ahead, read the right material. There's plenty of stuff out there. Most of it's going to be on mindset, folks. It doesn't take a whole lot, honestly, to put money aside. It's discipline. So whether you use the jar system or another system, there's really no strategy that I think that you need to to really focus very heavily on when it comes to saving. It's more about the mindset of willingness to save. Are you willing to put aside 10%, 20%, 30%? But I don't want you to get stuck in the whole idea of putting it aside and forgetting about it, or putting it aside and leaving it under your mattress. Because when you leave it under your mattress and it just sits there, or sits in a checking account or a savings account, inflation will eat that savings up. We have to reinvest those proceeds. But once you develop the discipline, the amazing part is now you have a base. You have a base of capital. You have a base of discipline and knowledge and understanding about how to do this. And now you can truly start like growing and winning. So Mike talked about something important, which is compounding. Compounding is when stuff starts working in your favor. So you put in $1, you get 10 cents. Next week, you have $1.10 to put back in, you get another 10 cents. Now you got $1.20. So now you got $1.21. Now you put in $1.20, you get another 10 cents. So you get another 12 cents. So what happens, it keeps compounding and compounding and compounding until you get to a point where there's a law out there. It's called the law of 72. The law of 72 basically says that if you take money and you invest it at 10% a year, every 7 years, that money doubles. So if you put aside $1,000 and you invest it, well, at 10% a year in 7 years, it's 2,000, then 4,000, then 8,000, then 16, right? Then so it keeps compounding and compounding. That's what we're trying to do, is to get on the right side of the compounding formula. Because once you can do that, it starts doubling and doubling and doubling, and that's where it becomes really, really a powerful tool. We came to Canada in 1991 with nothing but a will to thrive. They risked everything they had, left behind everyone they knew.
The only way out of the country was illegal, and the risk was huge.
I adopted the mindset that my parents had of faith and vision for my life. You see, they helped me understand that you get to decide what happens in this world. By the age of 30, I became a millionaire. I refused to accept scarcity, limiting beliefs, or someone else's excuses. So you want to know what the secret is? People ask me all the time, what's the secret? You want to know what it's going to take for you to succeed? Here's the truth. We got a question coming in from the comments here. It says, hey, Ben and Mike, just getting started on saving, plan on starting a house hack and not spending. Once I do, where do I go from there? Listen, house hack is a great way. My first property that I bought was actually a duplex. And, Mike can talk about this in a second, but it was a duplex. I was able to get into a property where I lived in half of it. I rented the other half, and I wasn't really called house hacking. It was just called buying a duplex back then. So back then, listen how old I am. But basically, I was spending $156 a month to own this property after the rental came in. So by doing so, I was able to save whatever I would have spent on a rental somewhere else, or even as a mortgage somewhere else, because I was getting so much of that income back in the form of rent. So I absolutely love the idea of house hacking. The second thing, once we really dial in the saving part, folks, is we have to learn, we have to increase our skill set. We have to increase our awareness. We have to increase our ability to earn, because that's really what we're driving at. So let me bring Mike back for a second. Mike, the ability to earn, dude, because I think this is where we're going with this topic, right? Is we save because it is a practice. I think that helps us develop discipline, but then we really focus on our ability to create more income. Would you agree? Like, you're creating wealth these days. That becomes the primary activity once you kind of master the saving activity.
Yeah, I think you get to a point, and this was a hard one for me because I went from being extremely frugal to now like having to realize that my time was more valuable than my money sometimes.
Can I drop a bomb? Let me drop a bomb for that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, keep going. That's
because when you start, right, you're maybe worth $20-$30 an hour. So it's worth your time to be, fixing up your properties or doing those like low value frugality things that you need to do to build wealth in the beginning. But once you've got those high income skills, like if you make $500 an hour, it makes no sense for you to stand in line at McDonald's with a coupon for half an hour in line and waste like half an hour of your time, or like be doing menial things around your house, like cleaning your house for a whole Saturday. You could just take one more deal down, or you could use those high income skills to generate thousands of dollars. You'd be much better off actually investing that time into something more useful. So I take frugality to the next step now because I grew up on frugality and I subscribed to that school. But now today, I know I have high income skills. I know I can generate, several $100,000 a year, no problem, by investing my time in myself and my business and relationships, right? So now I'm frugal with my time, just as much as I am with my money.
That is a bomb right there. Say that one more time. Now you are frugal with your time, which is the evolution of frugality. Keep going. This is powerful, folks, and this is where the rubber really meets the road.
100%. I totally agree with all of that. I think that you need, and frugality is a cornerstone. Every entrepreneur I know is frugal. They're frugal with their resources. Maybe they're frugal with their time. Maybe they're frugal with their money. Maybe they're frugal with both. Maybe they're frugal with the resources that they have in their network, right? It's all about, and part of the abundance mindset is realizing that you only have so much time. You only have so much money to invest in something. So you have to be considerate about how you utilize those resources. And if you're not frugal about those things, and you're not, conscientious of how you optimize your resources, you're not going to be near as efficient as you could have been. And so the competition will take you out, or, whatever can happen. You won't be reaching your, true potential. And I think frugality is a big piece of reaching that true potential.
So would you agree, Mike, okay, so I know business owners that start companies, they don't know how to manage money, they go out of business in a few years. That vast majority of people, the 90% of business owners that go out of business in the first 10 years are people who, frankly, in my opinion, can't not manage money. So the reason why it's so important, because this is the foundation of building wealth, because if you can't manage the little that you have, then why would you expect to be able to manage more? This is the concept here. So it's no different than being a farmer. If I have seeds, I can choose to plant those seeds in the ground, to cultivate that soil, rain, sunshine, water, all that stuff. And then from there, I'm going to reap a harvest. But imagine you took the seeds, Mike, instead of planting them in the ground, you start eating them or throwing them away. How do we expect, folks, if we're constantly throwing the seeds away, to have a harvest? So Mike, talk about this. This is the quintessential, most fundamental piece in my mind, that if you get this piece right, and it's not about saving and living broke your whole life, because I think you want to make that distinction, Mike. It's not about like rice and beans and ramen forever. It's about the discipline around that concept so you can manage money. Can you talk about that, man? What does that look like for you?
Discipline is a cornerstone. I totally agree with everything you just said there. And that discipline is a cornerstone of success in life. In order to have the best things, you have to delay gratification. That's a cornerstone, I think, of the FIRE movement. It's a cornerstone of being frugal with your resources. And delaying gratification means you go without something to have something greater later. It's sacrifice. All entrepreneurs I know, they understand sacrifice. Sometimes you have to work late on Friday night. Sometimes you have to get in extra early to the office. Sometimes you have to avoid, splurging and spending, $100,000 personally on that lavish trip, because you need to invest in your business instead. You need to invest in real estate, or invest in, your future, yourself, right? And so 100%, I think that it really comes down to, the math is simple with the FIRE movement, right? And with entrepreneurship in general, I think the dollars and cents, that stuff's simple. The hard part is actually having the discipline to go ahead and take those actions day in and day out. Because if you don't live the methodology behind it, you're not going to see the results. And a lot of people want that end result. They can see the path to get there, but they don't want to take the steps every day. Some days they just want to, take the easy path. And there isn't really, that I've found, there isn't an easy way to build wealth. There are easier ways to build wealth, but it's not easy to build wealth. You have to put the time in. You have to put the money in. You have to spend time, money, energy, all of that, right?
But if we're going to have a mature conversation, it's not about easy. I think anybody looking for easy needs a reality check. Like, you want easy, I don't know, go sit on welfare and do something, do nothing. I'm not stereotyping or whatever. I'm just saying, if you want easy, go and find a different way. You can't build wealth and have easy in the same conversation. It doesn't work that way. I believe the concepts are relatively simple if you choose to accept and indoctrinate yourself in the belief system that you need to save money, you need to earn more money, you need to do all this stuff. So let's pivot here. You have a family, right? You've got a couple kids, right? Yep. And some people say, well, it's great to be saving money when you're by yourself, but I got a family, Mike. I can't save money, dude. I can't save half my income. I can't do whatever. From my understanding, right now, your wife, she's primarily taking care of your children, right? So, yeah. You're kind of the main breadwinner in the house. And what does that look like for a family? Is this something that's sensible, or is it like you have to do it before you get married? And is it ever too late to start being financially frugal with your money?
No, it's never too late. It's not. Okay, the best time to start is today, right? The best time to start was yesterday, but the second best time to start is today. That's the saying, right? So of course it's better to start as young as you can, but the second best time to start is obviously today. So if you're 40 right now and you're just finding out about FIRE, it's not too late, because it's better off than not doing anything at all. You can always fix your financial future. You can take the reins and take control. My wife's a stay-at-home mom. We both retired sort of 3 years ago from our jobs, and my daughter was born 4 years ago. So she came off her mat leave and just sort of stayed home. That was sort of our decision.
How old were you and your wife?
24 and 25.
24 and 25, my man, retired us from the game. I love it. This needs to be like a Jay-Z song. So walk us through that, because people can't imagine that. Like, what do you mean retired at 24? People can't even get to school till 24, right?
Yeah.
I can't even count to 24 some days.
I just started young, right? At 17, we started on this movement. My wife and I, we buckled down and we locked into this idea or this plan that we could reach this 4% safe withdrawal rate, we get this FIRE number, and then we'd be able to retire early living off our passive income. So we'd save up enough money that our passive income could provide for us, and we'd be able to live without ever having to work again. So we just set on a mission from 17 to 24 to achieve that. And over that 7.5 year period, we just buckled down and we worked really hard. I worked full time through school, 17 to 21. I did a 4-year degree. I went to the Richard Ivey School of Business. It's a really expensive school. If you know, in Canada, the Richard Ivey School of Business, it's got the highest tuition costs, I think, of any university in Canada, and anyone in Canada. So it's like sort of like Harvard of the US. And so I went to a really expensive school. I get a lot of naysayers saying, hey, I went to an expensive school. I can't practice FIRE. I'm in debt to my eyeballs. I graduated at 21 with a 4-year business degree from the top school in Canada, debt-free. Debt-free.
Dude, the discipline, man. Like, everybody I have on this show talks about the discipline, the grit. You have to work for it. You got to stop wanting it for free, and you got to start putting in the work. And I think that's the core fundamental piece, is like, if you know you want it and that's part of your identity and you're going to get there, you don't have a choice. So just get started now and just put in the work. So you got a family, you're doing this. And at 17, I'm guessing she wasn't your wife yet? Or you guys are?
No, yeah, we're just boyfriend, girlfriend. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to make that distinction real quick for the folks at home who think they got to get married at 17. I don't think that really works that often around here. But I get it. So 17, till 23, 24, you guys did that. So she became accustomed to it. So does it become easier? In my mind, it's like it becomes a habit. So it's like, I just don't think about spending money. It's not something I enjoy. I don't like shopping as a hobby. Frankly, it's kind of for me, I don't enjoy it. I don't like it. Did you kind of develop that whole, just it became part of your nature of who you are, like your identity in a way?
For sure. And I probably took it to the extreme during some of my early 20s where like I enjoyed the deprivation. That's a little
you like that. You like the pain, man.
I love the pain.
Talk to us. What does that look like, man? What is the cheapest thing you've done? Give us some examples, man.
Man, I've done some of the cheapest things you could ever imagine, man.
Did you reuse this?
No, I haven't done that. But
did you
I've dumpster dived before at a restaurant, throwing a bunch of food out, and I was like, it was still in the bags. I was like, whoa, this isn't contaminated. This is still good. So
dumpster dive.
I've dumpster dived before.
Kind of like doing this, right?
Yeah, totally.
Oh, hang on. For the price of one. Isn't this how this works? They give you two so you can open it up.
I
guess not. Okay, so dumpster. What else?
So I've done a whole bunch of things. My daughter's here. Hang on a sec.
Yeah.
Mom will take care of it. No, I can't bring her on. I can't bring her on.
Somebody else.
Okay, run and go get mommy. Go get mommy. See if she can help you with that. The dog just got out. We have a dog at home, so we got a new puppy. He just got out. So
oh man.
She's running after to see if she can capture him. But what was I gonna say here? What's the cheapest thing I've ever done? I don't know, man.
Give us some stuff, man. People want to know, like, what has Mike done? Like, did you wear the same socks 4 days in a row? You know?
Oh, I've done all that stuff. Yeah, for sure. I've walked. So I've walked like an hour and a half each way. I used to get rental materials on my bike. I'd tie a wagon to the back of my bicycle, and I go get rental materials in the back of my bicycle to save money. I remember falling over and the trim hit me in the head, and like I got trim on both my shoulders, like 9-foot pieces while I'm bicycling with a little rack.
You're that dude. You're the dude rocking with a 2x4 down the road. Like, I got to do a construction project. Dude, I love it. So you're kind of doing 75 hard before it was even 75 hard. You were just like, I'm going to get my bicycle. I'm going to get my little wagon. See, but a lot of people would be too proud to do that. I can't do that. I'm a Canadian born in a first world country. What do you mean, like, not have to have a car? I don't do work until I have a car. See, you were just willing to do it even when you didn't have a car, even when you didn't have a lot of this stuff, or you were just pushing to do it. So you were. I think the big difference, man, is you're just willing. And I think when we're willing to do it, we put ourselves in that mindset, and it just becomes part of our thing. Is this you? What is it? Hans found you. Is this you?
That was me. You know what the benefit is, though? A side benefit, fitness, man. Like, I had rock hard 6-pack abs. I was working hard. I didn't have to go to the gym. That's efficiency. That's frugality of time, too.
Dude, so you're crushing your weight, you're crushing your marriage, you're crushing everything just by being. So frugality is the secret to life.
I mean, it makes it easier, right? If we go into a recession right now, right, let's use an example. I still house hack. I live in a really big house now. I got a 4-bedroom, 3-bath up and 4-bed, 3-bath down. So I have an 8-bedroom house, 6-bath, but my lower unit is 2 walkout basements. So I got income potential to cover my mortgage. We talk about like, this is a really upset, a lot of people are upset right now about COVID-19 and the Corona outbreak. It's been, obviously it's hurt my business too. I got a mansion in Orlando that we rent on Airbnb. It's a tough time right now. Tenants are going through really hard times right now. So I'm given a ton of interest-free rent deferrals, stuff like that. But I've got savings set aside because I'm so frugal, right? And I've got, the lower income from my lower apartment where I live, where my mentees live, and that covers all my living expenses. Even today, I can live on a burn rate of about $1,500 a month today, right now, with a family, with, a wife and 2 kids and a dog.
You're saying you can afford to lose $1,500 a month and still be okay?
No, I'm saying that like $1,500 a month is all I need to live.
That's your cost.
To draw for my business.
Our whole family is $1,500.
I can draw $1,500 after my basement covers my expenses, $1,000 to $1,500, and that's with 2 vacations. If I cut the vacations back, I could probably live a little bit more lean than that.
So let's break that down. So that means you could go and get a job at Burger King right now, and you could cover like your family would be set, your house, your cars, your vacation, your food, your clothing. You got 2 children, a dog. You need a new fence. Obviously, we just found that out because the dog ran away. My point is like, you can cover, but so that isn't that really security though? Like, isn't that what we're all looking for? Like, we all have this 9-to-5 job, not me, but a lot of folks have a 9-to-5 job, and they got that employer who's paying for their pension and this, and they want security. Isn't it just easier to save and live on less and create your own security versus relying on other people? That's how my mind works. I'm literally scared out of my mind to be broke, and it fuels me to save money and to make more money. Those are like my making more money is my primary activity, and not wasting money is my secondary activity. Do you feel the same way? Like it just gives you control over your life?
I am here now.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad she caught him. Someone let the dog out and he ran out into the street and someone caught him. So there we go. There's closure to that. There's closure to that story in that situation. Our fence is good. We got a new fence. Just someone left the door open.
Live on the Data Drama Show, we're finding
Here's some drama.
That's right. That's a little bit of drama. So does it give you ultimate control over your life, knowing that you're making that decision versus it happening to you, like a lot of unfortunate folks who got laid off last week or the week before?
Totally. I think that, if you're in a position where you were living, we will after, I promise. Okay. You gotta be patient.
She
okay,
runs
my
the
girl
show around there, man. She runs the show. That's awesome.
She wants to go for a walk. Wants to,
But you know what? That's real. It's real life, man. You got your family, your kids. You get to work from home in your office. Like this is awesome. I love this stuff because it's so real. And folks, sometimes it's like, oh, it's a scripted thing. Nothing scripted about this. Your dog runs away. Your daughter's up. You're wanting to be on the show. Like it's.
She's trying to jump up on the camera here. All right, Emma, go see Mama. Go tell Mama, and we'll get ready. Go get ready for the walk. Go get your clothes on. Go talk to Mama. She'll get you all dressed up. Okay.
No, Mom says we're not coming with.
That's okay. You'll get it figured out. Oh, one of my mentees is here. He's got her. It's like, you guys ever see that news show where they all run in and the kids are in the back and the nanny runs in and grabs them all.
You got the wife, the mentees
into the office.
That's hilarious.
It's one of the problems with a bigger house, man. This house is too big. I can't even hear me. She's across the house. I'm like, hey, our daughter got in here.
You got to upgrade that. You got to get that upgraded sound system in that thing, or that little intercom system. Let me ask you this, Mike. Everybody I find has one thing. Everybody has one thing that they can justify spending money on that everybody else thinks is crazy. Everybody. And it may be like you're so frugality centers that you have that one like checking account at Orange Bank that nobody has, but because you get 3 extra points, you have it. What's the one thing you spend money on?
Geez, I got a lot of guilty pleasures, man. When it comes to quality, I don't cheap out. So,
okay.
If you're getting like a good pair of shoes, you got to walk in those shoes. I'll get a nice pair of shoes. If I'm going on like anything, man, like I'll get organic produce, for instance, on some of the things like the food that I take in my body. Food's a big one, man. You got to have healthy, quality food going into your body. So like, organic avocados and all those types of things. I'm big into like nutrition. You can still do that on the Frugal, man. I'll find organic food for 30-40% off, but you got to treat your body like a temple. And so one of the big things for me is just like good quality food. I'm not eating like, macaroni and wieners and stuff and going sterile or something, over here. We're living the good life still. But
I hear you. So when you start, I mean, you have to like obviously look that way, but at some point now you're like, you know what? I can have this stuff because now you're financially in a position of security, of comfort, where you can have, great quality food and great quality experience. I know you're a big sushi guy. I'm a big sushi guy. So obviously you posting these ridiculous sushi things on IG, and I'm like, where the heck is this guy going? Like, he's going to Japan for sushi. It looks amazing, right?
Haagen-Dazs. Yeah. I do the 168 sushi in London. If you're ever in London, Ontario, hit me up. 168 sushi is, in my opinion, the best sushi place. I've had Vancouver sushi. I've had the Toronto sushi. I've had New York Michelin sushi, and I like the 168 better.
Yeah, we're coming. We're doing a Michelin tour. We're definitely doing that, and it's going to be like this when I get down for some sushi. So let me ask you this, man. People want to know, we got in the comments, give us some tips for some folks, maybe young folks or whatever, that are getting started or getting in their business, or what can they do right now to start becoming frugal oriented? Like, what are the steps they should take, my brother?
Let me give you an example. So I live in a $900,000 house in London, Ontario right here, right? It's about to be reappraised for that. It's 4,400 square feet. And I live here mortgage free, utility and property taxes free. I live for free in this 8-bedroom, 6-bath house with a movie theater, a private gym. I got it all. I got a whirlpool. I got all that stuff, right? And how do I do it? House hacking. So that's the first thing I recommend everyone does, is go find a duplex that you can live in. I got, my basement apartment brings in $2,500 a month. So my burn rate at $1,500 is really a burn rate of $4,000 a month. I'm living on $50,000 a year right now, right? Which is not that frugal compared to how I used to live, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm living on like $1,500 a month because I got the lower apartment covering my mortgage, my property taxes, my utilities. That's an important piece, is find a house where I live in the 2,200 square feet above grade, and they live in the 2,200 square feet basement apartment. It's a big enough house. People say, I can't because I have a huge house, Mike. There's no way. I got kids. I got a dog. I need a big backyard. You can find a situation that works. I got 6 parking spots. So we got lots of parking. My driveway comes in on the sides of my garage, so we can park like 5 cars on the angle. Find a house that works for you. And just, if you can't afford to buy, rent a house. Control that $800,000 asset for $2,200 a month. You get it under a lease. And if somebody doesn't have that kind of money, because that's obviously a great tip, is basically control. What if they're brand new? They don't own a house yet. They want to. That's what I'm saying. Go rent out that house. Go rent a $500,000 house, and then sublet the rooms while you live there.
Boom. So you can actually live in a much nicer place if you're willing to be, smart about it and sublet the rooms or whatever else you can do. But it takes a little bit of uncomfort, right? Because people don't want to live with other people. What if they're creepy? What if they're like Hans over here and
put locks in your doors and make it a duplex so you're safe in your unit. There's lots of ways to make it work, You
just got to be willing.
You gotta be willing. You gotta be flexible. If you're, for instance, like, what are you spending on groceries right now? I'll give you guys on Facebook who are watching some free pro tips. Download the app called Flip, F-L-I-P-P. You can look up any consumer good, including any grocery item, and see where it's on sale and price match. Walmart, Superstore, they price match. I buy everything on Flip. I only buy loss leaders. So let's talk about like lettuce, milk, bread, eggs. I'm buying all that 50% off all the time. I'm buying $200 in groceries. When I check out, it's $100. So right there's $400 a month you can save. If you're watching right now, download the Flip app.
Dude, that's a good tip right there, folks. If you didn't know about that, look at that. I'm going to get you on the Flip. This is a flipping great app over here. So
it's so easy to use. I don't coupon clip. I don't do anything. When I'm walking through the store on my phone, I'm typing in milk, lettuce, eggs, whatever, pizza. I'm seeing pizza on for $2 at, Metro on Super Sale. I'm price matching it at the Superstore. So I'm making sure I'm getting those deals.
This is like the old school coupons, but it's an app, and you just get the price match. You show it at the counter kind of thing, and you get the discount. Right? Dude,
the app does it all for you.
So you buying $200 worth of groceries, you're spending $100. Like, folks, can you do that? Can you spend 10 minutes on Flip and save $100 like that? But it's a willingness, Mike. So I love that tip, dude. That's great. We're writing that down. Actually, we got a assistant Sarah in the house. She's like, yeah, she's already downloading the app.
Dude, you can it actually saves time. It actually saves time right now. Like, dude, I'll give you an example. So like, I'm walking through the store. I got a list of groceries that I need. It finds the things on sale for me. So I use it to be more efficient through the grocery store. So it actually takes me less time to shop. I don't do much of the shopping anymore. My wife mostly does it, I'll be honest. But I used to use the app. It's a great app. It saves my wife a ton of time. She's, instead of being in there for an hour and a half buying groceries, she's in there for 45 minutes. And she's getting a great deal on everything she's buying. So it saves you time. That's frugal with your time. And it saves you money. Frugal with your money.
Dude, I love it. We used to do this because we're a border town. So we used to hop over to the States when it was at par, and we used to go to Meijer, and we'd spend an hour walking around. And I would do all of it because I knew that we were getting it much cheaper. Milk was 35% cheaper than it was over here. In fact, we'd load up gas in the cars as well while we were down there. So we were doing the shopping once a week, boom, come home. So it becomes a rhythm of this stuff. What else can people do? So they got money, okay, or they have a little bit of money or paycheck, whatever, or maybe they just got the government kind of stimulus or whatever that people are getting these days if they're laid off. What can they do in this time of constraint where people are kind of at home what can they do to start really tightening the belt and looking at the more frugality measures?
It comes down to looking at where you're spending your money. So the first thing anyone can do is just find out, go look in your credit cards, go look in your bank account and find out where you've actually spent your money in the last 30, 60, 90 days, 120 days, and then go through line by line and be like, man, I'm spending $200 a month on insurance as an example. Now call a couple insurance companies, get that down to $100. You're sitting at home anyway, watching Netflix and chilling. You might as well be on the phone on hold anyway for an hour. Get your insurance costs down. Boom, there's $100 a month.
How about that? How about that? People don't look though. Let's be honest, because when you look, you're kind of scared. I know I do this. When I look at the bill, I'm like, well, I spent that much. What?
Yeah.
It's all perspective. When you look back on it, you're like, man, I shouldn't have done that. Maybe you won't do it again next time. But I think most people, is it fair to say, Mike, that they don't have a clue what they spend? Nobody's looking at it, man. They run the card. If it's good, boom, they kind of have an idea. Maybe once a week they check the balance, but nobody's doing a line-by-line assessment of like, okay, I spent this. And people are saying, well, I don't know how to make a budget, which would be my absolute first thing that you should do. My wife and I budgeted every penny for the first, 4 or 5 years of our marriage. We budgeted every penny in the door. Because here's a big secret. I was not good with money really before I got married. My wife came in and she tightened a rope on this bad boy. She's like, you know what? You need to quit it. I came home. I was the guy who went to Future Shop, bought a brand new TV, bought like a sound system, and I bought an Xbox like when I was like 20 years old. I'm like, this is awesome. Now, mind you, I lived in a duplex that's paying $100 a month because, I did a house hack thing. But nevertheless, she tightened the belt, and the first thing was put in a budget. And anybody can do a budget, can't they? I make $1,000 a month. These are my non-negotiable expenses, my rent, my basic food, my basic whatever. And then here's the surplus. And then you allocate that surplus. You put it in jars if you have to, and then you don't spend any more. How can people do a budget, Mike? Could you give us some tips, pro tips on budgeting?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down exactly like you said. It just comes down, the first thing you gotta do is track what you're spending. So get a piece of paper or get one of those. I used to give away a free spreadsheet on my website where you could just literally type in like all your expenses for the week, and then it would multiply it for the month or for the year for you. You just start writing down what you're actually spending. Find out. Like most people I talk to, I'm like, hey, what do you spend on insurance right now? They're like, I have no idea. Like, what do you spend on, all these various categories? People don't know. How much do you spend on eating out? They're like, geez, $50 maybe. And they go and take a look and it's like 400. And they're like, wow, I had no idea. That's where my money's been going. Is I thought it was the medical thing that happened last year, but really it was just my bad spending habits for the last year. It was that new TV. It's that new Roomba we got going around in circles in the living room.
that Roomba's killing me, man. I can't deal with that Roomba, man. All right, so that's what people can do, like to start, and what if people are stuck and maybe they're in debt? Because a lot of people, Tons, pull up the chart, man. I'm going to hit the chart. Ready? This is how we do the charts. Ready? Now to the charts. It's pretty good, right? We're working on that. Okay, that's a good segment. Canadian debt burden, right? Sparking concerns, 180%. So meaning like if you make $1,000 a month, your debt is, $1,800. So 80% more than what people are making and going on debt. Interestingly enough, right? People are only spending 15% approximately of their disposable income on the debt repayments. So let me do a quick math. Roughly, you're spending 80%, percent more than what you make, but relatively you're spending 15% paying down debt. Are you not still spending 65% more than what you make? So, like, it's not going away. Can we be honest, Mike? Is the debt going away for the average consumer?
The problem to get out of this, right? If you're the average consumer and you got 180% of your income going to debt, you're like 2 years to get out of debt if you were to like save everything. And no one's able to save everything. So that means the average person is like 3, 4, 5 years away from getting out of debt. Now that includes mortgage debt and some debt you don't want to pay off, obviously, right away. But I'd like to see the data on the consumer debt, on that credit card debt that we'd like to pay off, that high interest debt. If you have high interest debt right now, that should be a priority. If you have $1,000 in savings, put that on your credit card right now and save yourself 22% interest. That's a 22% after-tax return right now in your pocket. So if you've got money in your savings account or your checking account, you can put towards your credit card. That's a guaranteed rate of return. That's the best place to invest, is paying down that debt, getting that guaranteed 22, 23%, 24% return. If you've got student debt that's at like 0% interest or something because OSAP's giving you some deferral, that's not high priority debt. I wouldn't be paying that debt off. So the question's kind of loaded in that it depends on the type of debt that you have, right? If it's
the urgency.
Exactly.
But what you're saying, just to clarify for folks, is find the high, like you have to first rank your debt in relation to the interest rate that you're paying on it. And if you've got a credit card debt that's 18, 19, 20%, that's the one you attack first. And you knock that sucker down. And once that's paid off, You hit the next one that's lowest and the next one until you start working towards your least expensive debt, which a lot of people who are, in their middle of life, they already have a home. The home is the last thing you should pay off. I don't believe in paying off your home because I think if you're saving 4%, like if you don't have skills to make more than 4% on your money, you need to invest in yourself and your skill set, number one, to learn how to take capital and turn $1 into $2. But you're right, dude. Savings. So starting at the top, boom, boom, boom. I think a lot of people, what they do is they apply payments evenly. Like, I'm going to pay off my school debt and this debt and this debt. But you're right, Mike. The school debt, if it's 0% interest, it doesn't make any sense for you to pay that off. That credit card will never get paid down. Just because the amount of student debt is $50,000 versus the credit card, which is $5,000, you making payments on both isn't helping your situation. Get that 5 to 0 because that 5 will never go away. Does that make sense? So, Mike, could you touch on that a little bit? Because I think this is financial literacy 101. I think that's the biggest topic is discipline, but financial literacy. Do we understand money? Or are we just going through the schooling system and we really don't have a clue how money works? We're just kind of inheriting belief systems from our parents and other people around us. And if they're financially savvy, guess what? So are we. If they're savers, so are we. But if they're reckless or they don't know how to use money or they just don't know any better, they're living in financial ignorance, then guess what you're about to do and your children and their children. Like, I think it's generational financial poverty of the mind before it's poverty in physical manifestation. So could you just share on that if you don't mind real quick?
Yeah. Two things. One thing, I saw Joan's comment come up about making a personal balance sheet and cash flow statement right now while she's watching live.
Boom.
That's awesome. That's taking action right now.
That's awesome. I love that.
That's awesome. I'm loving that right there. The second part is, FIRE and frugality and personal finance, all of that's mindset, right? It's more about what's up here than anything else. You can take action in your financial future today. And I think that's a big piece. Like, if you want to raise good kids, if you have kids right now at home, the best thing you can do for your kids is to get a hold of your finances, to get a hold of what you're spending and start understanding how to invest the money that you have, even if it's just in a exchange traded fund or something, right? Get that money working for you, doing something. That's the most important thing you can pass on to your kids is how to manage money, because mindset really is transferred from generation to generation. You can break that at any time. Like, my parents are not great with money at all, and they have terrible mindsets when it comes to to money in general, right? My dad did real estate and it didn't go very well for him, right? My mom didn't do any investing at all, but she had like the minimum wage mindset, right? So they both had different mindsets and it didn't ultimately lead to the right outcomes. Thankfully, I was able to kind of find online, and this is the beauty, guys. If you're watching this right now, we all, like Ben, Matt, and Kiefer, myself, we all have hundreds of videos out there on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram where you can learn how to do all this stuff. Information is at your fingertips. All you have to do is take action and get interest in starting to read more about it and watch more and consume that content and really learn. So I think that we're blessed to live in a time that we do in the age of the internet. We can be whatever we want to be. There's so little class barriers where someone growing up like, a single parent, you were an immigrant, right? Growing up with nothing.
Yep.
When we grew up in those types of environments, normally, 100 years ago, we would have been stuck having a really hard time elevating out of our current socioeconomic status. But today, with the internet, we can all put on a nice dress shirt and pretend we're someone and get on there and talk until we are. Fake it till you make it, right? Start having conversations with people who are investors. Start talking to people who are buying real estate, right? Take someone to lunch, get on a phone call. If you're quarantined right now and you're afraid to go out, you have no excuse because you have a cell phone and you have internet right now. So you get on there and you start talking to people. And that's how you learn, you network, you build connections. There's no excuse not to take action today and to better yourself and to learn and improve. At the end of the day, you're in control and you're accountable for your future.
Dude, 100%. And let's just make one distinction. A lot of people are in quarantine, but I see people walking around all day, every day. It's a beautiful day out today. People are walking around they're going to the park, they're hanging out, dogs playing. It's just like we forgot about the quarantine in a way. So I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying the folks are out. I think you're right though, Mike. The step number one is getting around other people. And if you don't want to spend a dime, then it's free. But at some point, folks, you'll have to start investing in your own literacy. So whether that's a book, whether that's YouTube, you got to invest your time and money into these things because this is what actually matters. You want an ROI. I always say all the time, the biggest asset that you can invest in is you, your financial intelligence, your literacy. You have to get out of ignorance because same story. My parents came over here. They brought us from Romania, communist country, oldest of 9 kids. They just didn't know what they didn't know. They didn't grow up in a wealthy situation. My dad grew up in a village of 18 people, like on a farm. They had one bicycle in the whole town. Like that's where they grew up. So they didn't know any different. They didn't know about credit and debt and all. Like, they didn't have that stuff. So coming over here was all, was on us to learn. So folks, it's incumbent upon you to investigate. You got to investigate for yourself, folks. This is the only way this works. But the good news, Mike is right. There's so much available information. The question is, will you act on it? There's no shortage of strategy, right, Mike? Come on. There's no shortage of people talking about financial independence.
Yeah.
It's just about, are you going to do something about it? That's the truth of it. So let me ask you this as we kind of dial it in. People want to know, because I think it's the biggest thing, is delayed gratification. Okay. Do you have any like FOMO, fear of missing out, or have you had fear of missing out during the course of your, time that you've been frugal? Like, you didn't go on that vacation with your buddies, or you didn't do that thing that you wanted to do. Did you have any FOMO in your life? Because I think that's what people are afraid of. Like, this sounds great, Mike, but man, I'm going to miss out on awesome things.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, you have to have some sacrifice in order to have sacrifice your time building your business, or sacrificing your, can't go on that nice vacation that you wanted to. There is definitely some sacrifice, but the definition of sacrifice is to give one thing up to have something else better. So that's why we sacrifice, to have something better. And so I would say that the outcome, or the final result of these sacrifices, is well worth it. I never have to work another day in my life. I could just chill and put it on autopilot. I like to grow. I have fun buying real estate. That's why we keep buying properties. I'm trying to buy 20, 30 properties every year, because it's fun. And I've put in management in place so I don't have to deal with a lot of that. And I do the fun parts of my business now because I'm FIRE. But if I ever get to a stage where I don't want to do it, I can just turn the switch off and just hang out on a beach all day. Yeah, in university, my buddies went off and they did the Europe trip. When everyone graduated, I remember everyone did a big Europe trip. And it was like 15 grand. I didn't go. Did I miss out? Yeah, I felt real bad about that. But I'll tell you what, I built some high income skills. I spent the summer building businesses and working hard and renovating a property. And I learned a lot. So the time I invested, it wasn't at the time feeling like it was worth it. But I can tell you that, 7 years later, looking back on that, or 8 years later, 9 years later, I feel great about the decisions that I made. And I think it's about setting up, for the psychology behind it, setting up rewards for yourself. Like, say, hey, I'm not going to go on this Europe trip right now, but I'm going to slay this renovation beast. I'm going to get this property done, or I'm going to take this deal down. I'm going to finish this course and do that. And when I'm done all that, then I'm going to reward myself with a trip to Cuba in the off season, or whatever it is, right? Like, set something up for yourself and your significant other or your friends. Say, hey, like next year, let's plan this trip out. And that's only if we hit certain targets. Like, if I can save 50% of my income in the next year, then I can go on that trip. So it's about rewarding your brain. It's like Pavlov talks about positive and negative reinforcement. I think positive reinforcement is a great way to incentivize and train the brain. And once the brain's trained, once you start, it takes 21 days to create a habit, they say, right? But it takes I think 6 months to really ingrain it. So it's a way of life. But once it's a way of life, it's hard to go back the other way. Even now, I tried for the last 6 months to do an abundance thing. I don't know if you heard me talking about where I was trying to spend 100 grand. Just personally, just to spend it because I can. We got a nanny. I got a full-time nanny to help watch the kids, just cleaning our house and cooking dinner. I was trying to spend to see if my life was any better. I can tell you with absolute certainty, spending more didn't make me any happier. So I've spent 20 grand a year, and I spent 100 grand a year. And I've lived both lifestyles. And I can tell you that for me, it didn't make me any happier. Now, there are some things that I'm going to keep in my life, like the organic food and that sort of thing. That's a big thing in my life that's great. But here's what I say, experiment. Try it. Try for a month, subbing in, eating out, for eating in 1 extra or 2 extra nights. Maybe make it a special thing. Like, hey, this is the night that me and my partner cook together. And we do this like romantic thing instead of eating out. And we save that $50 and, we watch Netflix at home, Netflix and chill. So there are ways, I think, to experiment. And what you'll find is that the rewards are much, they're much better. And that the lifestyle isn't that much worse.
I love that. So it's not about instant gratification. It's, just make a decision. And I think I love what you're saying, because it's anybody can do this. It doesn't matter where you're starting. And if you're 50,000 in credit card debt, just start today. Start putting some money aside. Start changing your mental habits. Start just changing this. In a year, 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years, you'll be extremely happy that you did. Because I don't have any, I don't have any FOMO today for what I did. And today I get to drive what I want, live where I want, do what I want, hang out with whom I want, when I want. And I'm living the lifestyle that I've always wanted for myself, and I'm 35. So this is what's powerful about when you're willing. I love the sacrifice piece, because you're willing to give up a little today to have more tomorrow. And that to me is just, I love it. That's the mindset that we need to cultivate. So Mike, this has been awesome. Such a valuable conversation here today. And folks at home, give my boy some thumbs up in the comment section real quick. Mike, what's the best place for people to stay in contact with you after the show?
Yeah, so 2 places, I guess. Add Mike Rosehart on Instagram. I'm big on there. I'm doing stories all the time, every day. And direct messaging, that's a great way to get a hold of me. I respond to everyone. I see every comment, everything that people send to me, I see it. So that's cool. And then YouTube, obviously, I'm live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. for the Mike Rosehart Show, where I go live for about an hour and a half. It's live Q&A. I've been doing that now for almost 2 years now. So it's been a good time. We're getting 2,000
live show
so.
every day. Dude, that's awesome. You know, I'm so
every
happy.
Wednesday.
Every Wednesday. That's
7
awesome.
PM.
Just giving back 7 p.m. Folks, make sure you check that out. Hans has got that on the screen for you folks to connect with Mike. Mike, thank you so much, man. It's been such a pleasure and a blessing connecting with you here today. Hey, it's Ben Humble. Thanks for checking out the show. If you like what my guest is talking about and you're getting massive value from it, then scroll to the bottom, open up the description, and follow them on social media. Support them, connect with them. Just scroll down there, click the link, and let's roll. Stay humble.
Make sure to subscribe to Ben on YouTube so you can stay up to date on everything Humble, featuring daily episodes of the Humble Podcast and weekly video content providing motivation, real estate strategies, and personal development for everyday life. Also, follow Ben on Facebook and Instagram for daily interactions. Check out humble.ceo and download a chapter of Ben's new book, From Communism to Capitalism, absolutely free.